let's go. Let's hear it.
Yeah. It's called The Talk.
The Talk.
It does not exist in Caribbean households.
Perfect. It doesn't in Caribbean. Yeah, let me just digress with that one.
There is a silence within mothers when their daughters are hurting. There is a silence. You can hear it from the other side of the depression, almost like a pin dropped from space and created a hole in the ground. What kind of love were you exposed to? I was introduced to my mother as a vessel, as a Christ-like spirit who sentenced me to the pits of over-explanations and silence. No opinions, no questions, just silence. Her idea of the talk was prevention, was teaching from the crutch of shame. She's only been with one man. She's a good Christian. She's modeled perfection that couldn't silence the loudness of misery when my father made our home unlivable. She muttered prayers from the pits of her soul and dusted the ashes of his dragon tongue off of our bodies. My mother was a bystander, a poetic mouthpiece to every time his fist would find my face. She rationalized it so beautifully. Her words were enough to make the day disappear and me along with it. She slept with two monsters. Him and the disdain she felt for herself. We would have never been worthy because in her eyes, she wasn't either. She never let us see it. Just gaslight us with God will make a way, as if she doesn't ignore every exit sign he puts on her path, as if she doesn't ignore the bright red hue of his wrath every time my father leaves her. She let him come back. I wonder what it's like to be a woman not in love with a broken man. But I never get an answer, just more silence that morphed into shame, and now she's afraid of looking at herself. He doesn't even see what she became. She got lost in his sick game and held us in her hands as she navigated his maze of a messy imagination. Yesterday, I looked at my mother, really looked at my mother, and I saw myself in her eyes for the first time. See, I never wanted to see mommy in me because I always thought mommy was weak. What kind of woman lets a man take every bit of power you have in you? I do.
No.
I wouldn't have had to if the conversations were allowed, if my silence wasn't so loud, if her perfection wasn't an elephant on my lap. How do I spot a bad man she could never comprehend because in her mind, the devil made him that way. He didn't just wake up one day and say, I'm gonna show you my true face. She thinks our family is cursed, and I think so too. We're cursed with goodbye stuck on our tongues, never making it out of our mouths. To coat the ears that we suck on, we hold on until dragons burn our skins off. We hold on till the bone beneath the skin goes soft. We hold on because silence wasn't prevention. We hold on because it's passed down to generations, and I'm older than my mother was when she married me. And if she ever had the nerves to ask me, I'd say I never want to. Because it's hard to remember you, because you claim you lost your beauty, because every time you deem yourself ugly, I feel like evidence, because I got your face in the truth.
Oh boy.
You were never safe to come to. I'm still getting used to hugging you as if it's brand new. Your arms were never familiar. I wish you could have housed secrets from me like mothers and daughters do. But you only ever held your tongue when I wanted recognition for my pain, silencing me once again. Sometimes I have to forget you're my mother and carry you in my heart like a child. It could have been avoided. Keeping secrets from you out of love, not telling you about that boy that I let have all of me prematurely. I wish you were there to stop me or shake me out of that fantasy. Instead, silence. I asked God, when would I be old enough to earn the rights to my suffering, to earn the pleasure of acknowledgement, to befriend my guardians? More silence. I was raised by children who got stuck at the age that they became parents. My mother is 18, my father 21, and me outgrowing everybody who was tasked to raise me. I learned romance from books written by lonely women. I learned my body by accident. I learned sex by experience. I learned heartbreak by dying. I learned silence through estrangement. To my future daughters, to mothers raising children, to parents who prefer silence, we have to have a conversation.
Ooh, I have, wow. And she's the 24-year-old.
Wow. That is beautiful.
That is beautiful. You know, the depth of your thought, the thoughtfulness of your thought. I appreciate you so much for sharing that, because it's speaking directly to this conversation, the silence. And that silence is very pervasive, especially when I think of us as sensual beings. And so to your point about self-love and masturbation, and you recognizing that here you are sitting with women who are older than you, and you were seeing it laid out before you, the path before you, how can we begin to try something different? So Maxilius wanted to give you a treat. And as we move into a new section of this whole process, and he's going to be throwing us an appreciation party because, he's going to speak for himself. So we're going to go, Maxilius, are you ready to throw the party? He'll be with us soon. So how do you think of yourselves as sensual beings? How do you, Karen, Charmaine? Do you, at this stage in your life now, do you consider yourself sensual?
I think I'm growing into it still.
Wow.
Still growing into it.
Do you see how you're sensual now?
Yeah, I think sensuality is like the dominant part of my personality, actually.
Wow. Okay, so we're older. You're the youngest one. Where is that coming from? Your ability to feel confidence in your sensuality?
It comes from a lot of affirming my body and basically changing the relationship that I have with my femininity. I had to learn how to be a woman by watching women outside of my family, outside of my immediate circle.
Right.
And I think what I really learned from them was the confidence, the way you carry your head high. You're treated as you walk.
Yeah.
The way you introduce yourself is how people acknowledge you. And I tend to introduce myself, with my head wraps and my corsets and my jewelry as a queen, as a sensual being. And that's how that's how I want to be acknowledged.
Okay, so Charmaine, when you hear her own and validate herself in that way at 24, I see you're a little bit emotional.
It is, I think it's a beautiful thing because I only wish that when I was your age, there were more women that were confident in their sensuality that way. It's, as with Karen, I've always, there's a difference between sexuality and sensuality. And I feel that I'm coming into my own sensually.
Right.
It's always been there, but I think as I continue to understand more about the journey that I'm on, and as I continue to nurture myself,
right.
Then I feel that my sensuality is actually continuing to grow and grow. And it's not about sensuality in terms of being attractive or sexy to the other, to your male counterparts or female.
Right.
It's about owning who you are and not apologizing for who you are and what you look like. And it's about, as you get older, embracing, we don't have the same body that we had when we were in our 20s. So as you get the little crow's feet, you find that there's sexiness in that, and because that's your lived experience or the battle scars that you have from childbearing.
You know what? I like what you're saying, because in your poem, when you're talking about the path that's set before you and how dark it might look, just by the way you just said that, now you can change a part of your narrative, and you can do something different from where you are to where Charmaine is. Yeah, that's beautiful. What about you, Karen?
I think it started when I was 7. So
sensuality started when you were 7?
Like what formed me. So my father had said to me at 7 that I had 2 strikes against me, that I was a woman and I was Black. And I would have to work doubly hard for everything. So that set sort of chain reaction of who I am today. So
what's so interesting when you just said that? Working doubly hard, all of us nodded our head. See, so we know that that's passed on.
Right. So that was already now embedded in my my brain.
Right.
That, okay, well, I have to be the best. And so, you know, when we're talking about sexuality or sensuality, that was on the back burner. I was now a man in a
Thank you. Yes.
Now, even though I have a brother, so it's just two of us.
Right.
But both of my parents, on both sides, I was hearing this, you've got to be the best, you have to get your education. My grandmother, boys and books don't mix.
Right.
So it was education, 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 work hard. So, you know, I speak to, like, of course, my girlfriends, and they're like, you know, this getting married and having kids, that was their choice. And it's weird because at your age, I had a mortgage. I had a house. I had a business. Like, I didn't even think of marriage or even kids. That's why I had a kid at 30.
Wow.
Because that was not on the forefront. It was attaining, I guess what males pursue, that was embedded in my brain. And to the point where the whole time, like, I didn't really think about what I was doing while I was caring for my mom. So, like, when you're like, how did you do it? I pursued. So I got my MBA, and I'm finishing my doctorate.
Wow.
I'm doing my dissertation as we speak. So it's a 10-year journey,
Jeez.
but I haven't stopped, because for me, that's the goal.
Right.
Is attaining, and I have to be the top. Like, when people ask, well, why are you doing that? I'm just doing it because I need to be the best.
That's how you taught yourself to survive.
So when you're saying, like, about sensuality, I'm like, oh yeah, there's that part too.
Yeah.
About that. But as I said, after the unpause, I call it the unpause. I'm unpaused. I was paused for 20 years, and I'm unpausing myself. And that's why when you said, well, what about you? I'm coming into it now.
I see.
Rediscovering. I'm loving myself for who I am. I'm learning the path of finding happiness within. So I'm constantly telling people, yes, I'm alone, but I'm not lonely.
Does it make you is it hard for you to, you know, strip away all of the things that you've set up to keep yourself safe? You know, I'm going to get my doctorate. I'm going to be really successful at this. I'm going to have my house. You have these symbolic structures that are almost working as a boundary for you. But is it keeping you from going out, or is it keeping things from coming in?
Probably both. But I think that's the journey, right, of self-discovery, of realizing to live in the now and not the when. So we're so caught up in, when I get this, I'll be happy. When I get that, I'll be happy. When I,
Exactly.
And I'm learning to, like, no, I'm happy now.
Yes.
I'm grateful for what I have now.
Yes.
And what comes next, great, that will be even better.
Are you going to be silent with your child?
No, like, the best part, if you have to talk about being a single parent, the best part is the fact that closeness, there's a bond between my son and I that, everything that I go through, we talk about it, because
yes.
Just like that, we were similar to your situation, minus, of course, the abuse, because we didn't have that.
Right.
But similar to mine is, like, children are seen and not heard. I was banned from saying why, so I used to find out different ways. Like, well, how come?
Yes.
I would be like, stop finding other ways to say why. But we were not taught to speak up or defend ourselves or even advocate for yourself. Like, so it's right. So you have to. So keeping that, it's very difficult. I shouldn't say it's challenging, because you're so used to, like, so when my son is challenging me, he said, this was like probably a couple of years ago, I was so angry. I can't remember what it was, but I was so angry. I was, like, yelling at him.
Right.
And he said to me, you don't have to talk to me like that.
Oh, wow.
And I was like,
wow.
You are
checked
absolutely
you.
right.
He totally checked you.
You are right.
Which is going to lead into my last question before Maxilius gives us a party of our lives. Maybe we just have to have the party of our lives. We can unlearn, and we have to be self-accountable.
Yeah.
So we can talk about men falling short all we want, but are we accountable to how we're also showing up and causing that friction as well? Friction cannot be caused by one person doing something. It has to be met with something. So I think that we as a community can start to look a little deeper into how we can self-reflect and hold ourselves accountable to how we disrupted part of that story between the two of you, whoever your partner is. You know, we all play a role in that. I think Maxilius wants to talk to us here. Come on in, Maxilius. We see you waiting.